All right, guys, welcome back. I'm doing the back issue backlog this week, and this week I decided to jump into a book that I wasn't quite sure about when it first came out. You might have checked it out, you might have read it, you might have loved it right away. It's the Image book called Little Bird. It was one of those. I don't know if you've ever had a book where you see it on the shelf, you hear the buzz, and you're like, hey, that's sort of novel, and then you sort of look at it and you're like, not sure if that's for me. That was the case with this one. It just title was Little Bird, and then looked like there's a little girl on the cover. So I didn't take a good look at it. I knew it was novel because I think it was cut a little smaller, so it wasn't quite the same size as your normal size comic book. But I didn't have any interest in it. I knew it was a book that was flipping for double, sometimes triple cover when it first came out. And I just sort of left it alone. But then the other day, yesterday I went to a dollar sale and I found a copy of it, and then I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? And it was the fourth printing, and the fourth printing looks completely different than the first printing. Thankfully, it wasn't one of those. I'm never a fan of the just change the color and call it a different print thing. I like the fact that it was what it was. So I checked it out. I went home and I read it, and wow. I opened it up and I'm like, dang, it's Mobius. I'm a huge Mobius guy, if you don't know, and I try to pick up stuff and different things whenever I can find his books and the Dark Horse things that he did and things like that. And that's what it reminded me of. I mean, it's its own thing. It's not Mobius 100%, but in my mind, it reads and looks like Mobius. And then I started reading it, and it was not this story of this little girl, even though it is, but it's not the same. It wasn't what I thought it was. I wish I'd given it a shot when it first came out. I'm not quite sure about the smaller size because it looked like some of the images were cut off because of the smaller size, but I loved reading it. It was such a good story. When I look through and I think of things like when I look at the cover, the initial cover, I gave this book, I gave it a 1.5 out of 2 because the first cover is okay. When I realized it was Matt Hollingsworth doing the covers, and I'm a huge Hollingsworth fan, I'm like, okay, I'll give it more of a shot and look at it closer. And I realized, dude, it's not just a little girl on the cover. She's freaking holding blades and the blood dripping off of them. And I didn't see that at first. So that's why it doesn't get the full 2 points of the value to me because, hey, it's missing that little piece. But then when you get to the fourth print, this is scary dude perched on a mountaintop with holding a battle axe. And you're like, oh, this is something a little different. This is not the sweet little girl on a mission to save her family or whatever. It's a blood and guts story. And then you open it up and read the story. I did a little research into the writer. This is his first comic book, but he was a Canadian director of some short films that won some awards at some festivals and things like that. And then he writes this story, and it's one of those stories that the art helps tell the story. So you can't really separate the story from the art. It reads like a director or a producer that did a screenplay, and the panels have that flow to them, and sometimes the words themselves don't mean as much until you actually look at them with the pictures that are drawn with them. And Ian Bertram is the artist. When I think of the interior art, they bring some things in there just weird. If you've read Mobius stuff, there's some weird drawings in Mobius's book too. But you got a dude sitting in a tub full of like blood, intestines, and stuff like that. Great stuff. I love the nun floating in an orange globe. Then you got the wolf and the blood and guts and just some awesome images. And I was hooked into it. And when you think about hook factor, I didn't jump in right away. So there's something missing with the hook factor. You can't get the full points. But now after opening the book, after reading the book, after seeing the story, I'm going to finish the little, I think it's a 5 issues thing. I'm going to read all 5 of them. I'm thankful. I've heard there's going to be a prequel. I want to see what why he's in jail and all those different things. Spec-worthy potential. There's some fanciful elements that I'm not sure if they translate well to the screen. But dude's a director. He knows what I would assume he knows what he's doing when he's writing a story with what it could be and how it could be translated to the screen, whether or not it's animated or if it's something that Netflix or Hulu or somebody does. So overall, I ended up giving this an 8 out of 10. It could have had more, maybe, but because I wasn't drawn into it from the second I saw it, that sort of takes away from it. But 8 out of 10 is really good. I'm going to read it. I would recommend this to other people to read and check out. So.